our participants will each say something from the podium, and then they'll take their seat to take some questions. We'd ask you to be on the lookout for microphones on the sides. And as always, please introduce yourself by name and outlet and who you're directing your question to. We hope that you would stay on topic for the Super Bowl. So about a minute and a half, we'll get started here. Thank you.
Kathy Lanier, I am the Chief Security Officer for the National Football League, and I am going to MC this press conference. I'll just start off by giving a few ground rules. The purpose of the press conference is really to talk about and share important information about public safety and security around the Super Bowl and related events. If you have other questions for myself or any of the panel members that are not related to that, please hold those till after this press conference, and you can get with the one of us individually afterwards. So before I introduce all of them, I guess I want to kind of go over some general important security information. So the goal here is to make sure that all of you who are planning to come to the Super Bowl or any of our Super Bowl related events have everything that you need to know to get in and around all of our events safely and efficiently. While the Super Bowl has again been designated as a Tier 1 security event, there are no known specific or credible threats to the game or any of our events. As always, you will see an increase in security presence in and around all of our events and around the stadium on game day. More than 40 federal, state, and local law enforcement public safety agencies have been part of our planning process over the past 18 months here across the state of Arizona. I want to acknowledge and thank all of them for their many, many months in these efforts. Before I turn things over to our distinguished speakers, I want to provide just a few key points about for our fans that are planning to come and visit us on game day. First, for game day, know your plan in advance. Make it now. If you are not arriving to the stadium by shuttle, the parking lot's open at 10:30, and rideshare is available. Like any major city, traffic in Arizona on a normal day can be a challenge, so please leave early and have your plan in place before you leave. Take the time to plan for your transportation. So there are road closures in and around the stadium, so give yourself enough time to get through. Our gates will open at 12:30. If you want to sail through security screening, remember the NFL has a clear bag policy, so only clear bags no larger than 12 by 12 by 6 or small clutches that fit in the palm of your hand will be accepted into the stadium complex. You can find a complete list of all the prohibited items at NFL.com/Super Bowl. So please take a few minutes to review that list so you can get through security easily. Leave your drones, umbrellas, selfie sticks, and weapons of any kind at home. They are on the prohibited items list. Mobile tickets. All tickets will be mobile this year. Please download your tickets to your mobile phone before you leave for the stadium. Make sure you have a fully charged battery on your cell phone, and then save those tickets to your device or your wallet on your phone. Drones. You'll hear a lot about drones from all of the speakers, I would imagine. Super Bowl is a no-drone zone. In fact, from the 9th through the 12th, all the related events around Super Bowl are no-drone zones. A national security temporary flight restriction will be in place 1 hour before to 1 hour after the game on Super Bowl Sunday. The drones are prohibited for a 30 miles radius around the stadium. Federal public safety partners, including the FBI, the FAA, and Customs and Border Protection, will be actively enforcing this TFR during the game, and both criminal and civil sanctions are possible for violations of the flight restrictions. Please leave your drones at home around any of our events. There's also flight restrictions ongoing around other Super Bowl-related events in downtown from the 9th through the 12th. You can find more information about the drone restrictions or flight restriction areas on FAA.gov/Super Bowl. One fun fact that I have to mention while we're talking about flight restrictions, this is the 50 year to commemorate the 50 years of women flying in the Navy. Our flyover this year will be all female pilots. So please make sure you're in seats in time to witness this history. Lastly, for the last day of the Super Bowl experience, it's ongoing at the Convention Center. Super Bowl experience presented by Lowe's. The Phoenix Convention Center will conclude on Saturday. Our last day is Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. However, the Super Bowl experience presented by Lowe's at Hance Park will be open on game day with a watch party at 11 a.m. that will conclude following the game. Now let me begin to introduce our distinguished speakers for some additional important points. I'll start off with Secretary Alana Mayorkas, Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. Secretary?
Thank you so much, Chief Lanier. Good morning, everybody. We are incredibly proud of our partnership with the NFL to make this event safe and secure. It's an extraordinary event. More than 70,000 people will be in attendance on Super Bowl Sunday. Tens of thousands more are enjoying all of the festivities around this city and the neighboring cities. We expect more than 100 million viewers in the United States alone, and of course millions and millions more around the world. An event like this is safe and secure because of the fact that everyone works together. Federal, state, local, tribal, law enforcement, fire personnel, emergency responders. I was at our coordination center, our operations center yesterday with Governor Hobbs, Mayor Gallego, and it was a very powerful example of the fact that partnership is the key to a safe and secure event such as this. We in the Department of Homeland Security define ourselves as a department of partnerships, and we bring so many different assets to bear to make sure that people will enjoy this event in a safe and secure way. And let me give you some examples of that. Every individual, Every piece of merchandise, every piece of equipment is screened before it enters this facility. Visitors to this wonderful city are screened and vetted. That is what our U.S. Customs and Border Protection, our CBP, and TSA personnel do. We have intel analysts deployed to watch the threat stream and ensure that anything of interest to law enforcement is addressed aggressively and quickly. Let me echo something very important that Chief Lanier said, that we have no specific credible threat against the Super Bowl. Aviation security, cargo screening, cargo inspection, video surveillance. We deploy our assets to achieve these critical elements of security. I met yesterday with our canine handlers that do an extraordinary job in training canines to be able to detect elements that could pose a risk to individuals. The risks can be simple and they can be sophisticated. We have our personnel from our Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction office. Chemical and biological threats the individuals have deployed their equipment to make sure that the air is safe and secure. Chief Lanier mentioned the potential for drone activity. We have our countering drone expertise to bear. Cybersecurity, remember there are threats both physical and not physical, those that can be seen and those that are not seen that nevertheless can impose a serious impact. Our Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has deployed its personnel to make sure that we have a cyber secure Super Bowl. The merchandise that the NFL so proudly markets that is such a boom to the fans, their friends, the market, is something that we are watching very closely to ensure that it is a marketplace with integrity. At major events such as this, there are always those who seek to counterfeit merchandise and sell it on a black market. And we have our law enforcement personnel in Homeland Security investigations deployed to ensure the integrity of the marketplace. The scourge of human trafficking, a scourge that grips this country and the entire world, is something that we are very vigilant in addressing, especially in events like this, where tens of thousands of people converge in a locality. And we, again, have our law enforcement personnel ready and deployed to detect individuals who may be victimized by this heinous crime, as well as to identify, apprehend, and bring to justice the perpetrators of it. The partnership is one that really covers the expanse of government authorities, federal, state, local, tribal authorities, but it also involves the private sector as well. We have a very important message to communicate. It is a message that we are grateful to the NFL for amplifying, and it is a message of vigilance. If you see something, say something. We all have to be alert to a potential threat to make sure that it does not materialize. I am incredibly proud to work alongside the extraordinary personnel in the Department of Homeland Security with our extraordinary partners to see a wonderful extravaganza Super Bowl 57. To my left, and I know Chief Lanier will introduce him, is Scott Brown, the Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations, who's the federal coordinator for this event. Thank you very much, Chief Lanier.
Thank you, Secretary. All right, Scott Brown, Special Agent in charge of U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Homeland Security Investigations.
Thank you, Chief Lanier. The public safety mission in support of the Super Bowl and associated events are led by the state, local, and tribal agencies that normally oversee the venues in which they're occurring. For an event of the magnitude of the Super Bowl, this is a massive undertaking and one that requires federal support. It's been my honor to work with my partner agencies as the head of the federal coordination team appointed by Secretary Mayorkas to ensure that they have the federal resources they need to successfully implement the comprehensive public safety plans they have put together. This has included ensuring that we do have the national security temporary flight restrictions in place for both regular aircraft and for drones, to making sure that we have the detection equipment and the people to operate that detection equipment, and down to little things like making sure that we have the golf carts to shuttle public safety personnel and equipment back and forth, which is a tough commodity this week with some of the other events happening in the Valley. As a longtime member of the public safety community in Arizona, and my regular day job as the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations, I have frequently benefited from the uniquely strong partnerships and unified commitment to the shared public safety mission that exists across Arizona and particularly here in the Valley. Those partnerships are represented on this dais and across this room, and it's those strengths of those relationships that have really made my job coordinating the federal resources to support this event a much easier task than it might have otherwise been. I'm confident that the public safety plans in place for Super Bowl 57, inclusive of over 800 federal personnel and supported by significant federal physical security and technology resources, will ensure a safe and secure experience for all in attendance.
Thank you. And before I introduce the next speaker, I just want to give you an idea when we talk about the number of agencies that are working alongside of us here and across Arizona. Arizona Department of Public Safety, Arizona State University Police, ATF, DHS, FBI, Gila River Police, Fire, EMS, Glendale Police, Fire, EMS, Tempe Police, Fire, EMS, Scottsdale Police, Fire, EMS, Tempe Police, Paradise Valley Police, Fire, Peoria Police, Phoenix Fire, EMS, and Police, to name a few, most of which have representatives here today. So we really do appreciate this complex working environment, but everybody has been just amazing partners to work with here. Now I'll turn it over to Akil Davis, Special Agent in Charge, FBI Phoenix Field Office.
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning, everyone. As I was just been introduced, Akil Davis, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI, which covers the entire state of Arizona. I want you to know that the FBI has been coordinating, as has been mentioned, with our state, local, county, and tribal agencies. We have been planning since the end of last year's Super Bowl when the clock ticked down in Inglewood, California. This has been a year-long process. As a native of the state of Arizona, I remember our first Super Bowl in 1996. I worked the Super Bowl in 2008, and this event has grown exponentially each year. We are uniquely prepared and qualified to handle any incidents. The FBI has currently stood up an Intelligence Operations Center, which is going to run through next Monday, taking in all intelligence threats and coordinating with all the agencies that have just been mentioned. I would like to reiterate, we are currently not tracking any credible threats to the Super Bowl or any of the events, including waste management or anything else that's going on, and most importantly, our counter-drone deterrence initiatives. As we have said, this is a no-drone zone. There are temporary flight restrictions going on the entire week around the events, and this is something that we really want to stress to the public. Please be our eyes and ears in the field. You have heard, see something, say something. You're going to hear that again and again, probably from my peers up here at the podium. But please, see something, say something. It's as simple as calling 911, or you can reach out to tips.fbi.gov, or you can reach the FBI at 623-499-1999. The FBI will largely remain in the background. We will be undetected out there, but know that we are fully engaged with the security and safety of this event over the next week. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Akil. Now, Colonel Keith Hunter, Director of Arizona Department of Public Safety.
Good morning.
Morning.
I appreciate the time this morning. I want to thank a couple people first. Chief Lanier, thank you, and all the NFL personnel. We've been planning this for the last couple of years. Thank you for all the collaboration. Secretary Mayorkas, we appreciate all the federal assets that are here this week to assist state and local law enforcement for this weekend's event. And to all of my peers, public safety and first responders, thank you for your leadership and your commitment to teamwork. That's truly what has provided the synergy between our agencies to handle all the varied events across the Valley this weekend and this week. We're expecting over 100,000 visitors here to the Valley this week to attend the various events. So it's going to be busy out there. The highways are going to be busy. The roadways are going to be busy. So if you could, pack a couple things for us. Pack some extra patience and time to get to where you're going. And also, if you plan on using any substance that will impair you, don't drive. Use a designated driver, use a ride share, use a taxi. I've discussed the important partnerships between law enforcement and first responders, but truly one of the most important partnerships we have is with the community, and I'm including those 100,000 plus visitors that are coming to the Valley this week as our community. We all need to work together to make sure this is a safe and memorable Super Bowl. So as has been stated before, if you see anything suspicious, anything out of the ordinary, see a crime being committed, please get that information to us as soon as possible so we can address any issues. I want to express my thanks to the state troopers, the detectives, and the professional staff that will be working this event, and also the troopers that will remain on patrol to handle all the calls for service statewide in Arizona. All of our personnel are going to be working long weeks this week, and some of them are traveling to be away from their families to make sure this is a secure and safe Super Bowl. I'm always impressed with your dedication and always proud of the work that you do. Being a state trooper and being a native of Arizona, it's always meaningful to me when we get to showcase the state of Arizona and all it has to offer. It's an exciting time this week for our state. We truly appreciate the partnership between the NFL to come together as a team, as first responders, and our partnership with the community. With that, be safe and enjoy your week.
Thank you, Colonel. I just want to reiterate one key point. I have 27 years in law enforcement and have worked with law enforcement all across the country, and the professionalism that I have witnessed from all of the public safety partners, law enforcement, fire, EMS, since we've been in this planning process, and here on the ground with crowds starting to arrive, coming through experience, have been incredibly professional, and again, working long hours along with security personnel here, really going the extra mile to make sure everybody feels welcome and safe. So thank you very much. All right, last but not least, Interim Chief Michael Sullivan, Phoenix Police Department.
Thank you, and I want to welcome Secretary Mayorkas here to Phoenix. I know you have an important event tonight, so it means a lot that you're here to show the support. So, Chief Lanier, great to see you. The planning process has been great, and all of our partners, many of whom I see here today that have come out to support us. We could not do this without partnerships. We talk about those state, local, and federal partnerships. This event could not happen if those partnerships were not in place. We've been preparing for close to 18 months. We've done a number of tabletop exercises. We're as well prepared as we can be for this week to provide safety to all the venues in Phoenix, but also to provide safety to those citizens of Phoenix as we have continuing law enforcement responsibilities across the city. You know, we are continuing to work despite the staff shortages, but we can only do this and staff these events without the partnerships that we have with other law enforcement partners throughout the agency. So I have to thank them, particularly Glendale, the way they've been able to step up and help us throughout this. And then it's a total team event throughout the city of Phoenix. It's not just the police department, it's the fire department, it's all the other city agencies that have stepped forward to help us be well prepared for what we need to do over the next week. We look forward to showcasing Phoenix and supporting the Super Bowl over the next week.
Thank you, Chief. All right, at this point, we can take questions from the audience.
We have microphones on each side. If you could just share with us your name and outlet before you ask the question.
Well, my first? Okay. My question is for you, Secretary Mayorkas. I think with what we witnessed last week, there's a lot of people very concerned about the safety of our airspace, and you touched on that. You said you do have, you will be countering both chemical and biological threats to make sure that our airspace, but also our air itself, is safe and secure. Are you able to elaborate on that at all, and will it be in areas not just around the stadium?
Yes, I'm very happy to. We have our experts and their very sophisticated equipment deployed as a matter of course in cities across the country. Day to day, every single day of the year, we make sure that the American people are safe and secure. We bring that technology and that expertise here to the Super Bowl and amplify the resources given the number of people that are visiting here and the fact that this is a Tier 1 event. We are very confident in the safety and security of the event because of the investments that we've made. You know, across the board, across the department, we've deployed more than 500 people to ensure the safety and security of the Super Bowl. It's going to be a fantastic event.
And I will say that I mentioned in my comments from the 9th to the 12th, across all of our venues across the state, especially in the downtown area here as well, where we have large events going on. We do have the flight restrictions in place, and then we have means to, enforce that. So to make sure that those airspace restrictions are respected. So we are monitoring all of those across all the venues.
Please share your name and outlet.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC. Thanks.
Hi, I'm William Kevorkian from WBRS 100.1 FM. How does league security preparation change and/or stay the same when evaluating and ensuring safety in the Phoenix metro area this year, given it has hosted a Super Bowl previously? Are you going back to square one from 2015, or are there things you can apply or change?
Well, I'll also let any of the law enforcement people that want to weigh in as well. But, for us, the security environment changes every day. It is a matter of watching the security environment, not just domestically, but globally. And our security plans, although we have a very robust plan that's in place that we've coordinated with all our partners, we may make changes to that security plan all the way up to the last, till game day, right? So we monitor everything that's going on, and we have a very robust plan, but we are all practiced and trained for making changes to that plan right up to game day. So very, very different security environment year by year. This is, with the previous 4 Super Bowls, I go back to 1996, completely different security environment. So we don't just walk in with a template and fill that template. We sit with all of our partners, we look at the threats that are out there, and then we use the best, most sophisticated security technology we can to provide a safe environment and welcoming environment for people. And I think this team has done a really amazing job. The fact that they've hosted Super Bowls here before is very helpful. All of these public safety partners put a lot of time and effort into this, and the logistics alone are staggering. So it is a lot of work, but it is very different year to year.
AJ Perez, Front Office Sports. This is more
Sorry,
of a sport.
I can't see where okay.
This is more of a sports integrity question. This is the first Super Bowl with a sports book so close to the stadium on the property. Does that present any challenges or any concerns?
Obviously, we planned for this. We knew the sports book would be here in advance. We have the NFL has invested heavily in the game integrity part of this once the legalized sports book changed. So yes, we have a plan in place. We're not concerned about the sports book. It's going to be operating. It's sitting outside of our perimeter all the way up until Friday, and then we'll move inside of our perimeter and we'll be operating on game day. But we have security measures in place around that to ensure the integrity. I really can't see any of you out there, so if somebody's got the mic.
Any further questions?
I hear somebody, but I can't see them.
Hi there, Nicole Grigg with ABC 15 here in Phoenix. I was just curious, will you be using any advanced technologies or putting in place any technologies to monitor people, whether facial recognition or any type of cameras out in these different events?
So I'm not going to elaborate on specifics about technology, but there really is very few security technologies. There are very few security measures in today's environment that do not involve sophisticated technology. So while I won't specifically comment on the technologies, we do have a large camera deployment. Obviously, it's part of what security is about, right? Knowing our situational awareness, being aware of what's going on around, and being able to see our environment. So we have probably the most advanced technology in the security world deployed across all of the different partners and all the different venues.
Mike Niklowski, 6ABC, Philadelphia. To anyone who can answer this, we heard you say this is a Tier 1 event. Mm-hmm. What does that mean in terms of personnel or preparations on behalf of any emergency personnel?
I don't know if you...
I can take that, Chief. So a secure event assessment rating, a SEER rating is given according to the profile of the event, the complexity of security involved. There are a number of different factors. And what we do is, in a Tier 1 event, such as the Super Bowl, we identify a federal coordinator well in advance, more than 18 months before the event itself. Scott Brown, the special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations, is the federal coordinator. I appointed him many, many months ago, more than 18 months ago, and it triggers an entire coordination effort, not just within the federal government itself and all the federal agencies, but as is evidenced here and as we've spoken about, it triggers a coordination mechanism for federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement, fire, emergency first responders of all sorts. And it brings together an architecture that is well-defined and well exercised.
And the Super Bowl's had a Tier 1 rating ever since 2002.
Marnie McCann, ABC 15. We see the signs. If you see something, say something. You got a lot of people saying, I'm just coming out here to enjoy a game. I don't want to get involved. These people are willing to do something in this crowd. How do I know I'm going to be safe if I say something? And more importantly, how do I know I'm seeing something I need to tell someone about?
So that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it because we want to hit this as hard as we can. First of all, I will say we are already getting, we have gotten several tips and calls from people who are observing different things and calling it in. So I think in general, the public is very in tune to what see something, say something means for all of us at a large event. And what I always remind people is, people sometimes say, well, I saw something that looked a little odd and I didn't want to dial 911 because everybody, we know the police are busy. We want you to dial 911. The police are, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for anything that stands out to you that looks out of place, to dial 911, let the local law enforcement go and investigate that and make sure that it's not anything for anybody to worry about. We are seeing that here. We are getting calls in. I'll let the law enforcement, if they want to chime in as well, but I know that we are getting some tips in, and every tip that comes in is followed all the way to the very end. So I don't know if any of you all want to comment.
Chief, yeah, I'd like to just capitalize on what you said there, in that if you don't want to call 911, you can go to tips.fbi.gov, and you can also call the FBI at 623-466-1999. Again, as I said earlier, we have an intelligence operations center stood up all the way through next Monday to take in these tips. So if it looks suspicious to you, notify someone, whether you're calling 911 or through the various venues I just mentioned.
I'd also add, we have the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center. You can submit anonymous tips there, and most of the local law enforcement will allow you to submit tips that are anonymous. And to your second question, if you have to ask yourself, should I report this? If you have to ask that question, you probably should report it.
Thank you.
I have a question, Citlalia with Univision here. How are you guys monitoring and trying to identify any human trafficking activity that may be happening here in the Valley during this event?
So, Scott, do you want to take that, and I can jump in?
Scott and Phoenix, both.
So I will say human trafficking is something that law enforcement takes very seriously across the state every day of the week, every day of the year. We work collaboratively. I have agents working with Phoenix PD, Glendale PD, Tempe PD, not just Super Bowl week, but in every week. Certainly, we've got extra teams working around the Super Bowl just to make sure that make sure people aren't being victimized. But that's something that, again, we do regularly, we do recurrently, and we will be doing through the Super Bowl. And I'm confident that we will continue to have the success that we have, whether it's a Super Bowl or not, that there's no tolerance for human trafficking within HSI, within the law enforcement community as a whole, and we are committed to putting the resources to it to thwart that victimization.
So if I can, our center in the Department of Homeland Security, our Center for Combating Human Trafficking, as well as our Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, we have trained thousands and thousands of law enforcement personnel and federal, state, local, tribal, territorial officials around the country to identify when an individual is exhibiting signs of being victimized by trafficking and how best to respond. This is something that we are expert in, as are our state and local and federal partners here on the dais today. And so we're very well trained, and we've also trained personnel in venues to identify the signs of victimization and to respond accordingly. This is something, it's a heinous crime. We must have a victim-centered approach and hold the perpetrators accountable.
Thank you. And I know Phoenix, the Phoenix PD has an incredible task force operation going on, been very active. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Chief.
Absolutely, Chief. So we have a full-time unit that is dedicated to this work because it is so important. And we partner with over 21 state, local, and federal partners, health and human service agencies. We've done a number of operations leading up to this week. But we, not just because of this week, we do this work all the time. We've been able to save a number of folks who are involved in human trafficking and have successful rescues of those victims. We'll continue to do that work. This is a chance to be able to make sure that we can educate people about the horrors of human trafficking. We'll continue to do that work every day, whether it's this week or the weeks after the Super Bowl as well.
Thank you, Chief.
Rich Pring, 12 News NBC affiliate here in Phoenix. Quick question. We've got events going in Glendale and Phoenix kind of spread out. Does that have an impact on security and how you have to plan around it?
Well, obviously, coordination is the key word here, but what we've spent most of our time on over the past 18 months in the planning, why we do tabletop exercises, why we do, daily calls, and why we make sure that everybody knows what that communications plan is as well. So spread out across all the different jurisdictions. That's why I read the list of the names of the different public safety agencies that work with us. This is the logistics of coordination amongst so many different venues and so many different jurisdictions is where a lot of our focus is. But I think by the time we get to this week, this 10-day window, which is the Super Bowl period, it's not just the game day. We are so well in sync. That coordination has gone extremely well. And the law enforcement, fire, EMS communities have tremendous mutual aid agreements. They work together all the time, and they share resources, and that has been really very robust here in Arizona. So I think that has been one of this has been one of the best coordinated regions that we've worked in.
Hi, I'm Griselda Satino with KTAR here locally. I know this is an all-hands-on-deck approach. I'm wondering if I can get more details in terms of, just the manpower that it's taking to put on these events and to keep everyone secure. How many troopers are out there? How many, officers? Just the amount of personnel that this is taking.
I'll turn over to you, gentlemen, chiefs.
Well, I'll start. Our agency has about 1,200 sworn personnel, and all leave time has been canceled for this week and this event, and that's just so that we can handle our mission with securing the stadium and also continue to handle the calls for service around the state.
And I would follow up with a similar comment. Close to 2,600 sworn personnel with Phoenix Police Department. We'll all be working very, very long hours. We already have been since this last Friday, and be dedicated to this event, but also, as I stated earlier, dedicated to making sure that we are able to provide service to all the citizens of Phoenix that they expect on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Hi, Marissa with Fox 10 here in Phoenix. Arizona has hosted quite a few Super Bowls at this point. The number of people grows every year. Things change. Obviously, security concerns change as well. So some of the things you mentioned, like drones, cybersecurity, weren't really issues in years past. What can you talk about that has changed coming, here to Arizona again? What are the bigger threats that you deal with that you might not have dealt with in the past?
Well, we didn't touch on it as much as we probably should have in this press conference. We have an extensive cybersecurity deployment. I know Department of Homeland Security as well. We are looking at the totality of anything that could potentially cause disruption or a threat, public safety threat to any of our venues or any of our events, and cybersecurity is a huge part of that. So we have brought in a huge cybersecurity team. We have a cybersecurity team at the National Football League, and then there are local cybersecurity teams here, state and local teams that our team is working with, and I know there's a huge deployment also from Department of Homeland Security, if you want to add anything.
Thank you, Chief Lanier. Our responsibility is to stay ahead of the threats, and that is indeed what we have done as the new threats have emerged over the nearly 20 years that the Department of Homeland Security has been in existence. We're going to be honoring our 20-year anniversary, our 20-year anniversary on March 1st of this year. The cyber threat was indeed not prominent when the department was first created in 2003. Now we have a cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency. We deploy our personnel all across the country, and as Chief Lanier mentioned, we're deployed here for the Super Bowl as well, our protective security advisor and others, helping the NFL assess the landscape and respond to any threat that emerges. We're well positioned to do so.
Now, most people don't think about it, but, over the past several years, the security world has changed quite a bit. And when we look at security around events now, it is not just physical security, guards, gates, and guns that it used to be. It is 360 degrees that we look at those threats and security around our events. So it's the air, it's the water, it is the cyber environment. So our security department, our security department is a security department that includes both physical and cyber security, but they're not separate. They work together. They are all part of the security team. So we merged those units several years ago, and it's just the nature of the way security is these days.
Hey, Chief, can I go back to the human trafficking question real quick?
Yes, please.
So the number that you see up there, the 1-877-4AZ TIPS, that's the number to the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center. That's a multi-agency center. That's the tip line. Something new that the ACTIC just started is we have a contract now with Arizona State University that has counselors available 24/7 for human trafficking victims. So if that number is called and it is an actual human trafficking victim that needs help, we'll put them in touch with the counselors and all the different resources from ASU. Just wanted to pass that on.
No, and I hope the important phone numbers that are displayed up here, I hope they make all of the broadcasts today so people can see those numbers and they'll use them. So thank you. That's it. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know you guys are really working hard out there.
Thanks, sir.
Is that right?